The Sharp MD-DR77 is a flagship recording portable and is the next iteration of the MD-DR7. This model came with the wrong remote and was in rough condition. Let's test it out. The proper remote is black with a record button. Here you can see the battery door is broken at the end, very common in this model and the MD-DR7. It's a bit fragile and 20 years later they can break off. This eject slider doesn't feel right either. It doesn't return properly. Let's test power, first with a gum stick. No luck. We'll have to test with a AA, then a power adapter if needed. Okay, now for the sidecar. This works, so we'll need to clean the internal battery contacts. Let's test playback. Testing all the features and they seem fine. Now let's test recording. I've got an Iowa lapel mic for testing. Let's pop it out, then confirm that it wrote to the disk. Yep, recording worked. Okay, let's take it apart so we can fix the eject slider, clean lube it, and fix the internal battery contacts. Start by prying off the battery door. Then just a few screws for the bottom of the case. Flip the battery door in and we'll pry off from the top. Not terribly dirty. You can see internal battery corrosion here. As usual, let's clean this with vinegar, then clean that off with isopropyl alcohol. Sometimes a bit of extra scraping is necessary. Let's test to see if we did enough cleaning. Yes, it powers on now with a gum stick, so that eject slider needs to get fixed. There's a silver trim we'll have to remove first. What's that? A piece of foam. Let's get that out of there. Okay, now for the top lid. Be careful, this lid has a display and buttons, so of course there's a flex cable connecting it to the board. Let's remove the flex cable so we can have more room to work. We'll have to pull it through gently. Check it out at different angles to see where to clean dust and lint. Uh-oh, part of the silver trim broke off. We'll have to work without it. Let's remove the remaining trim screw. Start by the power jack to remove the trim. The eject mechanism may slide out, but that's okay. Here it is, and it's easy to see the problem. One of the springs is broken. Checking my graveyard of parts, I think I found a spring that might work. Let's unhook it and see if it'll work. It looks shorter than the original, but let's test it anyway. Let's start by removing the old spring parts. Hooking one side on is easy. Let's then stretch it and hook it on the other side. That was easier than expected. Seems to be working fine too. And this is why I don't throw things away. Let's clean a bit, but I'll leave the grease that's there. As usual, since it's open, let's clean the lens, other parts, then lube what we can get to easily. Again, we don't want this lint or dust to ever get in the laser lens or mechanisms. Here, I'm cleaning old lubricant off the gear shaft and laser sled rail. You may not see it on camera, but there's a lot of lint in there, and not just from the cotton swabs. Okay, one last clean before lube. More lint. Get it while you've got it open. Now to lube the gear shaft and laser sled rail. Just a light coat, then park the sled to the far side so it can work its way back when you power it on. If you get some white lithium grease on something you shouldn't have, just clean it with isopropyl alcohol. Let's start reassembly by getting the eject mechanism back into the trim ring. There are two tabs to align. One goes into the trim, the other goes into the eject slider. Once it's in, you'll have to hold it in place to test and reassemble. It's working fine, so let's hold it in place and hook the trim back into the side of the device. Get the trim's tab into that small hole. Now I'll set it down and try to get the remaining trim pieces in place. Okay, once that's done, I'll hold the trim in place so I can put in the only trim screw left. Hook the MD tray back into the right place. Time to pass that flex cable back through. Push gently as shown. There's a protective black tape that you'll need to tuck in first. Once it's through, we'll secure the top lid. Let's secure the flex cable. The case will go on from the bottom side first. Eject slider's working great. Screw in the remaining case screws, and then it'll be time to test. I know I've got some of these in nicer condition, but having a beater is never a bad thing since it works just fine, and I can keep the nicer ones safe. Battery door back on. I'll have to come up with a good fix for these. I've glued some back, but they can still break eventually. Let's wrap it up with a final test and allow the lube to be worked into the gears. After a loop, some people like to test by playing a full disc on random or going from the first track to the last track and vice versa, since that moves the laser sled through the whole range. It's also nice to make sure you didn't break something. It's working great. That's another MD DR77 in my stable that required some different fixes this time. How about a quick family photo? Thanks for watching.